Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you all for joining. My name is Serena. I am the Care Services Coordinator here in the Dallas, North Texas area, and we're so glad that you're able to join us today. So today's presentation is going to be our session 4 of our Navigating ALS series, and we will be discussing estate planning today. Just a few things before we get started. I want to remind everyone to please keep yourself on mute and to minimize any background noises during the presentation. Also, we will be recording today's presentation and we'll send that email link out to you of the recording today for everyone that was registered after the presentation. Also, if you have any questions, concerns, comments, anything like that, we do ask that you please type them in our chat box. The chat box is kind of in the middle of your screen. If you move your cursor over it, it should pop up at the bottom, and we'll answer all those at the end. So we want to say thank you for joining us today, and now we'll pass it over to Terry.
Hello, I'm Terry Garrett from the Garrett Law Firm in Austin, Texas. So with Zoom, I feel like I'm all over the state. I'd like to talk about certain aspects of estate planning, which I think may be especially helpful for people with ALS. Delegating as a way to stay in charge and paying for your care. Let's see if I can just open up my, there we go, my PowerPoint. Now, my childhood friend from the time I was maybe 6 years old, when she received her ALS diagnosis, and when my paralegal's mother received her ALS diagnosis, they were afraid. They felt that their body betrayed them and foresaw a terrifying loss of control. Medical, not legal concerns were at the top of their minds. Probably the last thing they could have imagined was that they could stay in charge to a degree by delegating and documenting. Paying for care became a big worry. The last person they may have wanted to see was a lawyer, me. But an estate planning attorney who practices elder and special needs law was actually just the person they needed to help them stay in charge, to explain how paradoxically they could both increase their control by delegating and by documenting, and to help them explore how they could pay for their care. Oops, this should go on to the next slide, but it's not cooperating. Let me see if I can do it a different way.
I'm sorry, Terry. We were not able to see your screen.
Oh, okay. Well, then you'll just have to see me. Can you see me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. The first document is a medical power of attorney. Every adult, regardless of current health status, should appoint somebody to speak on their behalf if they cannot communicate. This person is their agent under a medical power of attorney. Texas has a specific form, which with other documents and checklists will be in a packet emailed to you after the presentation. You can appoint more than one person, but only in order of choice. That doctors can only take instructions from one person at a time. How does your agent know what to say? Our firm recommends that you attach a letter about your values and priorities. ALS affects different people differently. Being reminded of your values and priorities will guide your agent, whatever the situation may be. How does your agent know what is happening? Well, an agent has the authority to review your chart and ask questions. The packet will include a suggestion of what those questions might be if you're hospitalized. The second document would be a Hipaa medical information release. There may be people whom you do not want to speak on your behalf, but whom you'd be happy, to have as your eyes and ears, people whom the doctors can talk to, people who can review your chart. These should include whomever you name under your durable, that's your financial power of attorney. That person will need to check the bills to make sure that they're really yours. But before discussing the durable power of attorney, I'd like to address more medical care documents. An advance directive to physicians and surrogates is known in some states as a living will. You may have heard it by that term. You may want this document, you may not. It's hard to say. An advance directive to physicians and surrogates allows you to document what you want if you are thought to be in a permanent vegetative state. Do you want them to do everything possible to keep you alive? Or do you want them to let you pass as gently as possible? If you live in a state which permits it, do you want medical aid in dying? And if so, under what circumstances? What is a vegetative state? It's not a coma from which you might awake. It's a state in which there is little or no higher brain function evident. Though there may be some. You may still recognize people and feel emotions, or you may not. It's a state in which automatic functions, such as breathing, may persist, or you may need to be on a heart-lung machine as well as a JPEG. This need not be a yes or no choice. You can add what you want and what you don't want. An advance directive to physicians and surrogates also allows you to document what you want if the doctors think you're not going to be with us for more than 6 months. Do you want them to do everything possible to keep you alive? Do you want them to let you pass as gently as possible? What specifically do you want when? Pre-pandemic, I thought that this living will or advance directive to physicians and surrogates was a great way to take the burden off of your agent under the medical power of attorney. During the first 2 years of the pandemic, physicians had a lot of exposure to this document. 3 studies of its use and usefulness were published in the Journal of the American Medical Association, disclosing 3 problems. First, the document allows you to make yes and no decisions, and because you make the decisions in advance, they cannot reflect how you may think about things in the future. In a study of people with at least 2 chronic conditions, 2 disabilities, researchers found that if they asked them what they wanted and went back 2 years later and asked them again, over 80% wanted more assistance with staying here. They weren't ready to leave. Second, yes and no decisions may not be realistic. Changing health conditions are nuanced and fluid. Third, people tend to check the box and forget what they checked. What we really need to do is repeatedly discuss things with our family and physicians. Our condition changes, medical science changes, our attitude changes. Family members may not want to have these discussions. You can find a guide at the Conversation Project. A guide to talking with your doctor will be sent in the packet. If we do not like to think about our body failing us, we are even more terrified of the possibility that our mind may. Roughly half of people with ALS suffer some form of cognitive decline. Perhaps 15% experience Lewy body dementia. Moreover, during a 6-month period, 1 out of 3 nursing home residents becomes temporarily deluded, deranged, or demented due to a medication error. Your agent under a medical power of attorney is not permitted to voice what you want with regard to mental health. You must document this in advance using a declaration for mental health treatment. Probably the most important part of this document is your ability to ask your physician and family to be contacted before anything is done. A close second is your ability to decide whether you want shock therapy, which is electroconvulsive therapy, and what you want and do not want with regard to psychoactive drugs. The drugs which might be properly prescribed for people with schizophrenia, schizoaffective disorder, or bipolar disorder, and are widely prescribed by doctors in nursing homes who somehow discover that immediately on entering a nursing home, somebody has one of these conditions, which we know actually emerge in late adolescence or early adulthood. If you have a medical power of attorney and a properly drafted durable or financial power of attorney, you probably will not ever need a guardian. You might need one if you need to go in the nursing home and refuse to do so. Other than you, the only person who can decide where you live is your guardian. You might need one if you're just giving everything to charity or a frequent flyer on QVC or Amazon and throwing away all of the money you need for your care. You might need one if your agent under a durable power of attorney is robbing you. You can complete a declaration of mental health treatment, which will, not declaration of mental health treatment, declaration of guardian in case of need, which will let you tell the court who you would want if you had to have a guardian. You might also want to take a burden off your family by making an appointment of agent for disposition of remains, saying what you want done and who you want to do it. Earlier, I referred to a properly drafted durable power of attorney. That is not one which is downloaded from the internet. The statutory form you can find on the internet does not let someone hire home health, apply for Medicaid, or rearrange your assets so that you will be eligible, whether for Medicaid home health or nursing home Medicaid. There are a number of other things that the statutory form does not do, the need for which varies with your situation. A durable power of attorney gives someone authority to access your assets for your benefit without depriving you of access. Texas law requires that the person you name as agent report to you and provide an accounting. You can require that on request, your agent also provide an accounting to your tax preparer, who will need it, your financial advisor, people you name as a backup or successor agent, and anyone else you choose. Even with this, a lot of people would prefer that their durable power of attorney not be effective immediately. They're willing to give up the opportunity to monitor their agent and see how they're acting while they can, and have the durable power of attorney take effect only when they cannot. Well, this doesn't work. It doesn't work because the choice provided by the Texas legislature is a springing or delayed effectiveness, which happens when you are disabled, a Social Security term which applies to almost everyone with ALS, or incompetent, which doctors won't, almost no doctor will decide whether or not you're incompetent until you get to the point that they think you need a guardian. So, one of the reasons to have a durable power of attorney is so that you don't have a guardian. Well, now you've got these documents in place. What can your agent under the durable power of attorney or you do to obtain the care you need? You may have some of this care in place already. If you need scheduled visits by a nurse, physical therapist, or speech and language therapist, and are 65 or older or have been receiving Social Security Disability Insurance, SSDI, for 2 years and thereby are eligible for Medicare, Your doctor can write a prescription not only for durable medical equipment, such as a wheelchair, but also for Medicare home health, which could then include visits by an occupational therapist and a certified nurse's assistant, sometimes called a CNA. Federal regulation allows for up to 28 hours per week, in some circumstances up to 35. But under the new payment regime beginning January 1, 2019, we see a nurse visit once a week, a therapist twice, and a CNA 3 times, typically to help someone bathe. In fact, the biggest problem with Medicare home health is finding an agency which will provide home health at the payment rates which Medicare allows. Fortunately, in Texas, we can supplement this 6 hours of Medicare home health with 3 Medicaid home health programs. The first, for which there is no wait list, is community attended services. These people, like CNAs, are undertrained and underpaid. The second is community care for the aged and disabled, which provides for additional home health care by a CNA. State regulation allows for 40 hours a week. We typically see between 10 and 20. The third, for which there is a wait list, which everybody should get on immediately, is STAR Plus Waiver. It's available for people who might otherwise be in a nursing home because they need unscheduled care provided by, under the supervision of, or at the direction of a nurse every day, or need physical or speech and language therapy maybe 5 days a week. Now, state regulation allows for 30 to 50 hours per week of home health and homemaker care. They can make your meal as well as feed you. But because the managed care organizations which provide it are paid by the person, they have an incentive to sort of shortchange you or to find that you need fewer hours than you actually do. So it's almost impossible to increase the number of hours once this is in place. So I tell people to call me when they come to the top of the wait list so that I can send an RN out to do an assessment before the managed care organization does their assessment. That way, if we think the hours are too few, we have a basis. We have something to use to argue for more hours. To get on the STAR Plus Waiver wait list, all you need to provide are your name, your address, your social security number, and the name and number of a contact person. You can call 877-541-7905. Again, that number is 877-541-7905. You can get information about any of these 3 Medicaid home health services, community attendance services, community care for the aged and disabled, and STAR Plus at 211. Just remember that sometimes those people don't know everything. I've had clients who called and been told that they have to qualify for Medicaid in order to get on the wait list, and that's not true. You only have to qualify for Medicaid when you get to the top of the wait list and qualify for and want to receive services. All Medicaid programs require that you have a medical necessity for the care and that you qualify on an income and asset basis, not counting your home and its contents, your car, or an irrevocable pre-need funeral policy. Unlike Social Security and Medicare, there's no Medicaid trust fund. Since Medicaid is paid out of the general tax revenues, the benefits must be restricted to people whose income and assets indicate that they really can't pay out of pocket. That's probably 90% of Americans. You can qualify for Medicaid home health on an income basis by flowing your monthly income through a qualified income trust. This is also known as a Miller Trust. In 2022, the personal needs allowance for someone receiving Medicaid home health is $2,523 per month. That might pay for 80 hours of care per month if you do not need to pay for food or shelter or clothes or other expenses. In Texas, you might be able to qualify for Medicaid on an asset basis by gifting your spouse using a marital property agreement or a Medicaid qualified annuity or taking other steps. One such step is a special needs trust. Funds which you contribute before you're 65 are not counted in determining Medicaid eligibility and can be used for anything other than food, shelter, or cash, which could be used for food or shelter. If they are, it just decreases the amount of SSI you're receiving if you're receiving SSI. While special needs trusts or supplemental needs trusts are commonly used for people who are intellectually and developmentally disabled and being unable to support themselves receive SSI because they preserve Medicaid eligibility while also preserving funds which could be used to supplement Medicaid benefits, these trusts can be helpful for anyone who becomes disabled. Funds contributed after age 65 are not 100% protected, but using a technique known as the half a loaf plan, over half of them are if contributed to a pooled trust. I recently helped a 100-year-old woman receiving nursing home Medicaid open an account with ARC of Texas Master Pooled Trust to protect a small personal injury settlement. This will allow her to supplement the $60 per month personal needs allowance for someone receiving Medicaid in a nursing home. It improves the quality of her life. Now, if the special needs trust is established with your money, anything remaining when you are gone will go first to repay Medicaid for the loan to pay for your care. But meanwhile, you'll be able to receive and supplement Medicaid benefits, whether you're at home or in a nursing home. I've mentioned the ARC of Texas Master Pooled Trust. That's the least expensive way to do this. You do need a lawyer to help explain some aspects, complete a checklist saying that she's done so, and sign it, but that's all. You can use your funds in the special needs trust to add to the care you receive through Medicare and Medicaid home health, neither of which send people to your home on evenings or on weekends. Some of this care may be provided by family members, perhaps pursuant to a family caregiver agreement, perhaps in anticipation of inheriting the home under a ladybird deed, which transfers title at death, free of probate, and so in Texas, free of Medicaid estate recovery. You may still need to pay for some care. Apart from money in the special needs trust, how do you pay for it? Are you a vet? While we do not know what causes ALS, we do know that it affects veterans more than the general population. If you or your spouse is a vet who was discharged other than dishonorably, was on active duty for at least 90 days, at least one of which was during a time of war, you may qualify for VA aid and attendance, possibly including payment to a family caregiver. VA income and asset rules are a bit different from those for Medicaid. Most of our clients who qualify for Medicaid or qualify for VA in-attendance eventually need to qualify for Medicaid. So we want to make sure that we don't help them qualify for VA in-attendance in a way that disqualifies them for Medicaid. Okay, maybe you're a vet, maybe not. Probably you've worked. If you have a pension plan, are at least 55 and are no longer working, there'll be no tax penalty for withdrawing from it. If you withdraw funds from a retirement account, such as an IRA or 401k, before you are 59 and a half, that withdrawal is subject to a 10% penalty unless you are disabled. If you are not yet disabled, you can take a distribution from your IRA or 401k without a tax penalty if the amount of the distribution is greater than the medical expenses, which would qualify as a deduction, that is greater than 10% of your income, even if you do not itemize deductions. If you are disabled, there's no tax penalty on withdrawals before age 59 and a half. However, all these withdrawals are subject to income tax. Funds received through a reverse mortgage are not. Generally speaking, the last thing you want to do is use the house as a piggy bank. First, the upfront fees rolled into the loan probably make this the most expensive home loan out there. Second, if you have a reverse mortgage, you cannot leave 100% of your home to someone free of probate and free of Medicaid estate recovery, which may be how you plan to pay some relative for your care. Third, the loans provide that the lender can foreclose and sell the home after you and your spouse, if any, have lived elsewhere for 6 months, sometimes for 12 months. This means that there will be no monthly payment for assisted living. The VA pays for assisted living, but neither Medicare nor Medicaid does. Still, proceeds from a reverse mortgage do not affect your eligibility for nursing home Medicaid or for Medicaid home health. They are not counted as part of your $2,523 personal needs allowance while you're at home. They are not counted in applying for nursing home Medicaid. If you have a spouse, you do not know for sure that your spouse will survive you. He or she might want to amend their will to say that any bequest to a disabled person will pass instead to a special needs trust for their benefit. Anything left could go to your children or someone else named in the will. Cobbling together different programs, different hours to pay for your care, protecting your spouse and protecting your home does require several steps, but it can be done. Delegating and documenting your wishes can let you make decisions and, to some degree, keep you in charge, even as you feel less so. Thank you. I understand there may be questions, and we'll see whether I have answers.
Okay, I do have a question, and I think it might be with the STAR waiver, the STAR Plus waiver program, and it says, what about your age? I am 63.
No problem.
That was easy.
Yeah, it was. The problem is the wait list, and the length of the wait list varies from place to place and varies over time. At one time in Travis, we were down to 6 months. Bastrop, an adjoining county, was down to 4. Now we're up to 18 months. So some people may need that reverse mortgage or withdrawing from their IRA or 401k or pension to get them through that wait list period.
I actually have a question. So if you have a ladybird deed on a house, that house is protected then, like you said, from, if somebody can qualify for Medicaid, do they have to spend down all their funds, qualify for Medicaid? And then-
Medicaid looks at financial assets. It doesn't look at your home, the contents of your home, your car, or you might need two cars because one car has to be wheelchair accessible. It doesn't count an irrevocable pre-need funeral policy. And we tell everybody who might qualify for Medicaid to get one of those, because although it seems crazy, the Medicaid rules specifically say that Medicaid can recover from your estate before the funeral is paid for. So, you know, rather than have you in Potter's Field, we'd like to see you get this policy taken care of. But really, when we're talking about Medicaid, we're talking about financial assets. Unless you have, 6 rental properties, those are going to have to sell.
So it sounds like it's interesting because there's a lot of this information that you put out there. It's kind of hard to hear, some of it, it's tough to hear, but there's so many ins and outs to this that it's important. It's important to know that you do have choices.
Yes, and I think that is important. It's complex. There's a lot of disinformation out there, or, things which take you part of the way, but not the whole way. But, elder lawyers and special needs lawyers have been working on this for a long time, and we can't get you everything. We can get you a lot.
Okay.
What if you don't qualify for Medicaid, but you're going to be on Medicare?
Well, if you're on Medicare, you can qualify for Medicaid on an income basis and on an asset basis by doing certain things. We talked about flowing the income through this. It's basically a bank account, this qualified income trust.
Okay.
And then on the asset, you may have to pay down some of your assets, or you may have to buy a Medicaid compliant annuity. You may have to put your assets in a special needs trust. You may have to enter into a marital property agreement with your wife and say, honey, I love you. I give you everything but $2,000. And she says, oh, I love you too. And I promise to use the money to take care of you to the best of my ability and to come visit you. And if I understand that, if I file for divorce, the deal's off.
So would a reverse horrible trust accomplish this?
Revocable living trusts don't work. If under Medicaid rule, and they don't work for this purpose. Under Medicaid rules, if a trust can distribute funds to you under any circumstances, that's the language of the statute, under any circumstances, it counts for Medicaid.
Okay. Thank you.
Sure.
So can I ask you, so if you have retirement accounts, 401ks and IRAs, and you get Social Security, and you have to take required minimum distributions on those accounts, and let's just say hypothetically, all of that adds up to, with your Social Security, adds up to say, $3,500, $4,000 a month, and that's going to continue on for quite some time. That really you just will ever qualify for Medicaid.
No, that's not true. That's not true. If you have if you have $3,500 per month, we put it in a qualified income trust and name your brother, your sister, your spouse as the trustee. Every month, that person writes a check for your personal needs in the amount of, and this is going to go up in 2023, but this year, $2,523. They then write a check to pay your Medicare Part B premium. They then write a check for whatever medical expenses are not covered by Medicare, Medicaid. If you have a spouse, they write a check to keep your spouse's monthly income up to $3,390. Anything that's left and for most people, there's little or nothing left, would then be your Medicaid copay. This is for home health.
Okay. Would that then also work if you choose to go into an assisted living facility, let's say that's fairly expensive?
Assisted living is not, you don't qualify. Medicaid and Medicare don't pay for assisted living.
Got it. Okay, that makes sense.
If you
So
go
this-
to a nursing home, it would work, but instead of a personal needs allowance of $2,523, you'd have a personal needs allowance of $60.
Okay, I guess I wasn't sure there's a difference between a nursing home and assisted living. but I
There
guess-
really is. Nursing homes, all but 3% of Texas nursing homes accept Medicare and or Medicaid. And so they're governed by Medicare and Medicaid rules. People only enter a nursing, can only enter a nursing home if they need unscheduled nurse care provided by, under the supervision of, or at the direction of a nurse 7 days a week, or need therapy 5 days a week. People who don't need that level of care can go to, they can stay home, they can go to assisted living, but assisted living, it's just renting an apartment from a company which also provides dining hall services and weekly cleaning, and may provide medication management. Now, there are, you can have Medicare home health, you can have home health come to you in an assisted living facility, but it's not subject to the same regulations. They don't accept Medicare or Medicaid. They're not subject to Medicare or Medicaid rules. We have 4 levels of assisted living facilities, and they're based on fire department rules. How quickly can they get people out?
Okay, thank you. All right. Jen, I have more questions, but I don't know if this is more for this session than others, because I would think if you're in a wheelchair and you cannot bathe yourself, feed yourself, dress yourself, I would think that's nursing home care, but I don't know
No,
that a nurse isn't required to bathe you or feed you. So, but that's,
yeah, it's the at the direction of, isn't it? I had a client who had cerebral palsy. She had one functioning limb. She fell out of her wheelchair and broke that limb and was in a nursing home. And her insurer said, oh, she doesn't need nursing home care. Well, we took this up with the judge. She definitely, even when her arm was mostly healed, but not yet healed, she definitely needed care at the direction of a nurse. And you may too.
yeah. Okay, thank you.
I do have a question from Carla. She says, I am a retired teacher with TRS and was recently diagnosed with ALS. My HISD Aetna insurance ends this month. I need information about insurance based on this disability. I have not filed for Social Security benefits yet. Can a family member be paid for providing home care to me under an insurance plan?
Okay, you've got a number of questions there. First, file for Social Security right away, Carla, because if you get even $1 of SSI, you're going to get Medicaid with it. If you get no dollars of SSI, you're going to be still deemed disabled, and you get that 24 months running.
I think it's Medicare. You meant Medicare? When she gets her SSI, she'll get Medicare.
I'm sorry, you're getting
Right,
Medicare.
Medicare.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah,
Yes,
and then with
yes.
ALS, we don't have a waiting period any longer. We used to have.
That's right.
24
I was thinking it's now ALS as well as end-stage renal disease. So,
Okay.
so that's great. Whether a family member can be paid, you said under an insurance, but it depends on what your insurance says. Some long-term care insurance policies will pay for family members. Some will require the family member to have specific training. Some will require the family member to be employed by a home health agency. We have different companies which will arrange for payroll deductions and insurance, just like for an employee who wasn't a family member, and they'll take care of all of that for you.
I don't think currently there's any, like under Medicare, there's any home health or non-medical home health, like Medicare benefits. I had heard, and I'm not really sure, that some Part C with the Advantage plans may have that, but I don't know anything
That's,
about
yeah,
that.
they largely use that as an advertising gimmick. And even if they say we provide this in our program, they may provide that to 5% of the people in that program. So even if you have a Medicare Advantage program that says it provides it, it may not provide it to you.
You have to be so careful. There's just so much out there. Any other questions? I think the cool thing is this is going to be recorded and it's going to be mailed out to you, emailed out to you, so you can listen to it again. I know the more I listen to these presentations, and especially from different people, I just learn something new each time, and it just opens up more questions. Yeah. So Terry, is that all you have today?
That's all I have for you today.
I think that's enough. Are there going to be slides mailed out? I think you're going to have some handouts to be mailed out, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, so there's going to be
And I'll include the slides as well. I'm sorry you weren't able to see them during the presentation.
Okay. Well, I wanted to thank you. Like I said earlier, this is a tough topic, you know, but all of us, no matter what lane that we're in life, need to be prepared for the future, you know, because we don't know what it's going to look like. So this is a great topic, and I really thank you for taking your time and spending it with us and providing all this information.
My pleasure.
Yeah, it's great. Our next, and I want to thank everybody for attending. Our next session is going to be September 12th at 12:30, and it's going to be on the multidisciplinary clinic. It's just going to be explaining the benefits of the multidisciplinary clinic, a lot of education. So please join us for that. Also on the slide, you'll see all the team members. This is Jennifer, Austin, Linda in San Antonio, Jordan and Samantha are in Houston, and Serena's in the North Texas area. If you do have follow-up questions, please feel free to reach out to any one of us, and we'll go ahead and get that answered for you. And like Serena said in the beginning, we'll be recording this and we'll be emailing out to those who registered. Make sure that you, I don't know, do we have any more slides? Or is that it? Just want to remind you too to go to alstexas.org for future records, future events, and we've got past recordings for other things that we've done. We have youth and children and caregiver programs. Oh, we have one more. So I can qualify with ALS, Social Security, Medicare. Jen, give me your email address. Oh, me. Okay. That's me. It's on the slide and it'll be given to you, but here it is. There we go. Yeah, I think that's it. A great topic. Thank you. I think we're good. Yeah, well, everybody, again, thank you for joining us. And we'll see you next time. Thank you again, Terry.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes,
Bye.
we have numerous thank yous. So bye-bye.